I would say I was a closet Islamophobic person here. You know, I would deter my children from you know, getting too close. There was that fear that I had, a very ignorant fear.
Assalamu alaikum, welcome back. I'm Amna. Today I will react to a convert story. I love listening to stories of people converting to Islam. It's very inspiring to me. So this woman, I believe, was a Christian before. So let's listen to her story.
So I would like to begin by asking you, where and when were you born?
I was born here in Muncie, Indiana in 1986.
How was it growing up in
America.
the late 1980s, early 90s in Muncie?
So I grew up in a Christian family here in Muncie, and later reverted in my late 20s to Islam. Growing up here, sure, typical, you know, life. Was raised by two parents. I have two sisters and a brother. We attended local schools here in town and got to see a lot of the changes that Muncie has made over the years.
Can you tell me about your parents more, like their names, occupations, their influence on you?
Yes, my father's name is James and my mother is Sharon. They both work in the industry field, and I take many things from my parents. My stubbornness definitely comes from my dad, which is a proud notion of his. And then, you know, my mom also taught me to be very vocal about my feelings.
How did religion shape family practices and your values?
So when I was growing up, we were expected to go to church every Sunday. And to, you know, attend church. Outside of that, though, at home we didn't practice as much as we probably should have. Outwardly, we were, you know, a very Christian family, but behind closed doors, it was a bit different.
I think this is common.
My parents divorced
in America.
when I was a teenager, after many years of
That's also common.
issues between them.
Yeah. Difficult.
Later on in life, when I reverted to Islam, it wasn't met with a great support from family. Growing up in a Baptist family, Islam was not an option to discuss, yet alone to believe in. So that caused a lot of family division.
Do you remember which church your family attended?
We went to several churches over the years. Grace Baptist was the one that we attended growing up.
Did you attend any religious education, like Sunday school?
We did, yes. During church services, as well as all holidays were part of, you know, church functions for us.
Do you remember anything from those experiences?
Yeah, we used to go to Bible school a lot. As I became older, I became a youth leader at the church that we attended at the time, and was then put in charge of Bible school. So all the years of going to Bible school, you know, really helped to shape that year for me.
When you were younger, was there someone you looked up to as a role model?
Yes, my grandma. She passed away when I was younger. But her lessons that she taught us continued even after she passed away. She died of cancer when I was in my early teens. And I can remember her, even the day before she passed away, having us read the Bible to her. That was something that she still wanted.
I miss my grandmother
even though she was losing
too.
all functions, her faith never shifted.
Can you tell me about your grandparents and the influence of their religious convictions?
Yes, my grandfather was Catholic growing up, and he married a Baptist woman. So Catholic became the dirty word of the family. You weren't allowed to say it. My grandfather no longer went to Mass. He continued with the Baptist denomination with my grandma until he passed away.
Can you also tell me about your schooling, elementary school, middle school, high school, what that experience was
Yes. So I went to one of the county schools here in town, or well, outside of town, Westville. So literally a very small high school in the middle of a cornfield. So was very much raised to be a hometown girl here in Muncie.
Before converting to Islam, do you remember when you started to question your faith?
I did. So I'm a mother of 3, and my youngest daughter, Brylan,
3.
Was getting sick a lot, and we were having surgeries. And at that time, your faith really comes into
I'm just
play, and
surprised
it's
because
tested.
she looks so
And
young.
for those who aren't very strong in faith, it's very hard to deal with it and to get through that. I prayed a lot, and I didn't feel the fulfillment anymore in my prayers. And so for me, it was a moment when I realized that I myself didn't believe enough what I was taught growing up. And so it really took me on a spiritual journey for several years. It wasn't directly focused on Islam at first. It was just a spiritual journey to find that hope and fulfillment that I needed. And I wanted to give to my children as well. And so after a few years, we got a new pediatrician who you could tell was a foreigner by the name. And in our family, we were raised to only have white male doctors. It was just kind of how it was. But he had openings, and we really needed to get into a new pediatrician. My daughter's pediatrician had just moved. So I set up the appointment with him, thinking that eventually we would change as soon as another doctor had openings. And before we went to the appointment, I can remember telling my daughter to not say anything about the way that he spoke or the way he looked, because for me, I just assumed he was going to talk differently. And in walked the doctor, who spoke perfect English, no accent, was detected. And my daughter was giving him pictures that she had, drawn while we were waiting, and came up to me at the end of the appointment and told me that, Mommy, he doesn't sound different at all, where everyone in the room obviously could hear, as children would do. So it was quite embarrassing for me, and also a realization that I myself had become very judgmental. Started to, really debate with him things as far as her treatment and what we were going to do. A lot of it, I relied on my teachings growing up, which was that we didn't really do a lot of medicine. If God wanted you to be healed, you would, through enough prayer and conviction. So I started to kind of let him know that I didn't really want to take the medication route. I didn't want to do many more surgeries. And he asked me why. And so I, told him that's how we were raised. But then he further asked why. And I couldn't answer that question. So that started more of, I guess you would say, a deeper journey for me. I wanted to understand why I was taught these things and why that's what my family believed. And so when I went to my mom to ask her some of these questions, she couldn't give me an answer. It was just, this is how we have been taught. And I got in touch with an amazing woman who was part of the Muslim community. And we started to talk, and we became very close. She's now my spiritual mother. And from there, I went to my first meeting, started to learn, more about deeper knowledge of Islam. At that point, my knowledge was still pretty bland. And the more that I read and the more that I learned, the more fulfilled I felt. And my prayers became deeper for me. Mm-hmm. And so that really was a highlight in my journey.
Going back a little, what were your thoughts about Muslims and Islam before you met this doctor?
Before, I was I don't want to say the average American, but like many Americans, I let the news make up my mind, which can be rather scary at times. Without outwardly knowing it, I would say I was a closet Islamophobic person here. You know, I would deter my children from you know, getting too close. There was that fear that I had, a very ignorant fear that was based on lack of knowledge and understanding.
I'm so happy for her, for how far she has come in her journey and the changes that she has made in herself in a positive way. It can be difficult to change when you are raised in a certain way. Like, she was raised believing certain things. She was raised as a Christian and around mostly white people. Even her doctors were normally white, and she had maybe some judgments before. But I just love these stories that people, they are like open-minded enough to actually learn and to really give it a chance. Even though they have this thinking, these stereotypes, and they watch news, and mostly is not mostly, but it's always bad. It's always bad news about Muslims. And I want to think the best of everyone. So even though I do encounter sometimes people who judge others who are different, I hope that they realize one day that it's wrong to do that. So I do understand her in so many ways. As a Muslim revert, I understand these difficulties that she has with family and, you know, living in a mostly white area, not many Muslims, not so much diversity, and it is for sure much difficult for those who are not Icelandic here. I can totally see that and I understand that. And for me, basically, wearing hijab, I even notice the difference. But it's totally worth it. At the end, it just makes me stronger. So yeah, thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed this video. Give this video a like and subscribe and share. Assalamu alaikum.